Myanmar and other countries have come together to develop a kind of a circuit, the tourist circuit. Important place for tourist circuit, including Sarnath also now. Now when you find this Virutha is one of the Buddhist. Also Malaysia, number of Rohingya, these Muslims, have gone to and there have been riots in Malaysia, and there has been kind of a, people have been killed. Muslims are against Buddhism. Not only in India, this is the beginning. And if you remember some time back that the Taliban attacked Bamyan, there is a kind of hatred against the Buddhist, and I think there is a reason also against the Muslims, because what Buddhists are thinking that the jihadi elements and the Muslims are creating problems for their own country. So I think this is a quite serious thing. And Delhi are also now unsafe, and there are reports like that.
That's right. But the Myanmar theory that you're talking
about, agenda, the 21st century India wants to see development, of which I think Mr. Rajnath Singh is aware, and therefore is talking and chiding in the manner what that is.
The BJP has also clarified that it is not going to oppose.
Party, I think, will oppose food security bill because it is directly connected to the Poor People Act. But the objections were being raised recently by the opposing party is that when the election is going to be held, why an ordinance was brought up to have this food security bill? Because this kind of a bill which has been brought by the Congress party. And I think another criticism which comes from it is a kind of promise to the voters, promise to the people. If we give you food security bill and you give us votes actually. Therefore, this kind of criticism is there. But if you look at is a good, only thing is how it will be implemented, and secondly, where from the money will come to implement the system, because the PDS system, public distribution system in the country is in a very bad shape.
Okay. As the Hindustan Times today reports that caste is something which really can't be kept away from India. New Delhi has done after by hanging. We should not forget that without the resolution of the basic political issue, no permanency of peace in Kashmir can be sought.
You know, Shalini, that his father did speak about Abdul Guru long time back. He was against hanging of Abdul Guru, and yes.
After the break, we'll analyze all the international news stories. Please stay with us. We'll now analyze all the international news stories in Worldview. In fact, a situation of political deadlock. Interim Prime Minister, Mr. Al-Baradei, his name was being proposed, but now there are some factions who have consent on that. What do you think is really going to be the state now? Going to, is there going to be a resolution at least of this particular episode of the selection of the interim?
Al-Baradei, a meeting with the interim president, Mr. Mansoor. It's about 2.5 hours meeting was there yesterday. I think he is trying to solve the problem because Al-Baradei at one time his name was being mentioned immediately after the revolution was there in Egypt, but there was no consensus at that time. He is a well-known personality, also DG of the IAEA for a long time and Nobel Peace Prize winner also. I think there are, as you said just now, there are some factions who would not like to have Baradei, and perhaps Muslim Brotherhood is one of them. But I think in today's situation, Al-Baradei would be, because today we find that the pro-Muslim Brotherhood and Morsi forces and the anti-Brotherhood forces, they are, except I think the Muslim Brotherhood forces, they are, and the army of Egypt is today with the an interim government. So therefore, I find that there will be long time the crisis to be over. Speech to be given more and more, kind of freedom. Today, the same government of America, that they say that this was used only because we wanted to do something against the terror.
Triggered the debate on the issue of cyber security, cyber snooping across the world. On that note, it's time here to say goodbye to you, Mr. Naik. Quite a pleasure. Very quick break in perspective, and after the break, we'll analyze all the sports-related news stories. Please stay with us. Now analyze all the sports news stories in Masterstroke. Senior sports editor from Indo-Asian News Service, Mr. V. Srivatsa. Welcome to the program, Mr. Srivatsa. It's all about, every newspaper is talking about it, every paper is carrying his picture in everybody's title. What would you like to say about the Englishes?
Yeah, it was a remarkable. May know that Fred Perry was also a player, he played for England, and he won thrice 77 years ago, but before that he is not the first Scottish player to win.
Yeah.
For that, but it was a great match in the sense, for 3 sets has to be a remarkable. Sets 3 hours. If it had gone to 5 sets, it would have been easily. I think both of them would have heat. Yesterday it was terribly hot by English.
40 degrees Celsius there.
So, and somehow when I watched the match, Djokovic, even when he was up in the second and third sets, it can happen to the best. And but he still fought very much, and as Murray said, the greatest fighter, and he said player, he is going to be the greatest fighter. In the sense, of course, it was good of anyway, one Mickey is off Murray's back, because the
it was filled with all dignitaries, from politicians, bureaucrats,
everybody was there.
Celebrities.
They have a system where in screen.
Yep.
It was all full, and I think entire night must have been Britain, and it was I think only next morning it will sink in what exactly happened, perhaps even to Murray.
Right. Okay, now let's talk about the Tri-Series. Rain has pushed the Sri Lanka-West India ODI series to reserve day.
The way the match started, because all Indians were looking at that match. If Sri Lankans had won, it would have been to get back, because India had to, though they also have a bonus point, then it would have come down to net run rate and things like that. Won the last match against Sri Lanka. I mean, all the teams would have had 2 victories. To that extent, if West Indies win, then it will become a straightforward semi-final for India. Sri Lanka to be through. That easy. With the advent of television and so much of focus on everything that is happening, and media also see such things. So they have said, but ultimately later on they have also shown the footage and both of them putting to together and then walking off the field. See,
Okay, newspapers, very quickly, one more Gautam Gambhir, because newspapers are talking about his match, the final of the DDC, which he had played and he had hit a century. In fact, it's very hard to miss the first lines of most of those reports, which says that just days after being ignored even for India's second string squad to Zimbabwe, he has performed.
If it has to come down to hot weather cricket, it is a purely local sport.
Yeah.
Whatever you do, I don't think national selectors can take.
It's quite a pleasure having you here. We'll take a very perspective, and after the break, we'll analyze all the business-related news stories. Please stay with us. Back to perspective, we'll now analyze all the business-related news stories in Bazaar Pass. News stories. We are joined by the executive editor with Business World, Mr. Rajiv Dubey. Welcome to the program. Thank you. Discussion with what all is going on between the RBI and the government, because we know that newspapers, in fact, today are very clearly to the dip in rupee, which is why the government would like to, in fact, revive its ties, strengthen